Hey up lads and lasses, Damfire here, back again with some more GR2 content. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a fun one. Requested balance changes from myself and some of the guys in the community. I posted out a question a few days ago on my Discord and asked people, I mentioned it on YouTube as well, and asked people if they had any sort of balance requests for the game, what they'd like to see implemented and nerfed or buffed, etc. So yeah, we're gonna have a quick look. I've got a few comments, like I said, from a couple of guys from Discord, and I've got my own couple of personal views as well. So we have Isk, who says torpedo speed or ammo counts on torps or missiles for sure. At least missiles are homing, so they still hit even while slow. All non-frontal firing ships should auto sidewing when on AI. Maybe add a focus button instead of just a generic targeting, so you can ensure all ships within range are shooting the target you want. And add an info button on weapon subs that show possible roll combos. I think he means weapon subsystems there. I still don't even know if you can even get ammo count on IPOS, and I have rerolled both subs a bit of times. Alright, so let's start with the first one, the torpedo speed or ammo counts and torps and missiles. They have like next to no ammo. I've taken a few missile ships previously into Wolf just for testing purposes. And what eventually happens is you get to a point where, because some of the later waves take so much damage, you literally run out of ammo. They're just sitting there now. Your ships are flying around in a circle, not firing. They can't do anything. It's useless. For me, complete removal of the ammo counts is what's needed here. It's lasers make sense to me, right? They have like 999 shots. That makes sense. The lasers, you run your reactor core, whatever these ships are powered by, into the gun, shoots a laser out, fine. Projectiles have 999 ammo cap. Makes no sense if torps and missiles have like a very highly restricted ammo count. If you think of a railgun or a Gorse, you're firing massive solid projectiles at things. The ammo count can't be that high. So yeah, I think complete removal of the ammo count. This also applies to UAVs. The amount of times I've had Fenrir's, for an example, out, and I switched my CP to give the one with the extra usages, and even then later on in Wolf Waves, it's out of UAVs, can't do anything. So yeah, one, get rid of the ammo count, just remove it. If you're not going to adhere to the fact that projectiles have 999 shots like a laser, then you either need to drop massively the amount of projectiles, and you still need to buff the amount of torps and missiles that are being carried. So probably get rid of it. He also mentions all non-frontal firing ships should auto sidewing when on AI. I think he's mostly referring to Legions here. So Legions want to be side-on to the enemy. They want that broadside because they don't have, say, like the Unicorn, which is frontal only. They can broadside, and you want to be broadsiding, so you got increased amount of weapons firing. If you are facing the target, you only get 2 of your weapons firing every 5.5 seconds. If you're side-on with a Legion, you get 4 of those weapons firing every 5.5 seconds. You literally halve your DPS on frontal with a Legion. So in the AI battles, where it's great, it's not moving, it needs to not move due to the fact that it's got the warship feature that says if it's not moving, increase crit damage, increase crit rate, and that sort of thing. I think it's just crit rate, sorry, in calibration. So it needs to be side on, stop moving. So yeah, it would be nice for the AI to implement the ability to turn it sideways. The AI does do it. If you go into some of the missions and stuff like that, you will see the AI quite often. It does twist, especially carriers seem to do it more than I've seen battleships doing it. They'll do twist round and get that broadside and stay stationary. So it must be implemented in some form or way. It might just need to be copied and pasted over to certain ships, such as the Legion. So yeah, that should definitely happen at some point. The focus fire button, he's also referring to when you have a ship and it's focused onto, say, one ship, but there's other ships around. You'll probably have seen this where it just randomly shoots off in one direction, and it's the most aggravating thing in the entire world. On my new account on S33, there's a mission where you literally need to kill the station. That's all you need to do. So I've targeted this station. I've got Jim on a tornado going around it, you know, like this. And next thing I know, all missile launch, Jim's skill, fires all my guns off. I'm like, yes, I can finally do it. I'm like, no HP. This barrage from Jim would have killed the station. No, it goes and shoots something else. And he just like, come on. Why? So yeah, that would be a nice feature or to be implemented. I agree with that one. I don't know how they'd be able to do it. Certain times you don't want it happening, so yeah, maybe just a button that you down in the bottom right next to all the other buttons that you have for controlling your ships down there for frontal, wing, and turning the engines off. Yeah, maybe something down there would be nice. What else did he say? Info button on weapon subs that show possible roll combos. This would be really good. I've been trying to conglomerate as many subsystems as I've seen and taking screenshots and trying to get it all into one, but there's just too many. I've managed it for like one ship, and even if I like try and take it over and like, so I've done it for a tornado. If I take it over to the monster's now got the similar ones and new ones, and it doesn't adhere to any kind of structure or anything like that. So yeah, that would be nice to see what possible roles you can get on a ship. They have things like that in Diablo 3, which is a good example where you're re-rolling quite often to try and get better stats on certain types of gear. I'd also like to see the ability to re-roll a single stat. So say if you've rolled the fabled monster subsystem roll where it's got the bottom subsystem, you get the crit damage and the kinetic damage. And that bottom subsystem rolls, you know, 90% crit damage, but your top roll of the kinetic damage is like 10%. It'd be nice to be able to re-roll a certain stat, so you can re-roll that kinetic, try and get that maxed out. Because having to re-roll and try and find that subsystem again, I'm dreading, because it's just... I must have done about 40 rolls just to try and get that subsystem. So yeah, that would be nice. We have Isk also commenting and mentioning subsystems that make sense on ships that aren't the monster. The monster's one of the only battleships that has subsystems that affect both projectiles. If you look at, we go into the Legion for an example, we can have a quick look in here. So we get a subsystem that affects missiles, and then we get a laser subsystem. And because missiles are in such a bad position, you don't want to use this. I'd rather this be another laser subsystem. Then it might be able to output more DPS and actually keep up with the monster. But even then, I got another nerf bat request coming in for the monster, so we'll cover that in a bit. But if we even look at, I think it's the arbitration, I think they call it. Yeah, the arbitration. We have a look on here. So it's got the laser amplification system, which is giving EM damage, but then its other subsystem gives main gun cooldown. And it just doesn't work properly or fit properly within the profile of the ship's meant to be this laser boat. And two of its subsystems, only one of them actually buffs the lasers that you actually want it to buff. Yeah, the laser buff's quite nice here, but it's not that useful. The fog's got missile on both, so it's not 100% all there for all ships, but There are a lot, especially I've noticed in the Empire ships, they're all a little bit weird like that. If you look at this cruiser, it has torpedo damage on it and missile damage on it. Or the destroyer, I believe, has got laser damage and torpedo damage. Oh no, anti-aircraft. That kind of makes sense. It's the same as the tornado. But yeah, they're just a little bit all over the place. Especially when you come to carriers, they tend to have UAVs. Yeah, 2 UAVs, and then missiles. Or yeah, this is the same as the Red Dragon, 2 UAVs and a missile. If you look at the Fenrir, it's 2 UAVs and tactical. I guess it kind of makes sense that you want to try and be getting a tactical onto it, but at the same time it would have been nicer to see maybe 3 UAV subsystems, or maybe being able to convert a subsystem into something else, such as, you know, you have this missile subsystem here on this King. Maybe if that was another UAV, it'd be a better ship and you'd be more likely to use it. So you could go here and some special currency that they introduce or something like that, you can re-roll this to change this from a missile subsystem into a UAV subsystem, or maybe even into a tactical, giving us more options to fit ships the way we want to fit them. And yeah, I mean, the amount of depth that could potentially add to the game's quite large, so maybe that is something they should look at. The plan is I'm going to send this video off to them as well, so they can have a look and get all the requests and stuff. So we then have Kevin Miller. He's suggested to the devs a scaling system so you can't keep putting multiple ships of the same type into PvP and Legion Wars, etc. And yeah, he mentions it won't get adopted because noobs use multiple fogs and frosts when leveling. But the idea is to stop people using the biggest culprit here. You know the people that do it. 3 monsters and the tornado, or whatever they're running. I mean, it's, you know, non-consequential what that is. It's the fact they're running 3 monsters. The monsters are the most broken ship in the game. They've got 2 very, very good subsystems. They've got quite good layouts, so you can fit for the subsystems quite well. They've got dual damage buffs within the reforms. We can have a look in here again, actually, as we go through here. So yeah, there's the 2 projectile damage buffs. If we go into dock, actually, I can show you the reforms as well. Make a bit more sense. Reforms. So we have critical strike damage here, critical strike rate, and kinetic energy damage. It's 3 damage buffs in reforms, and these aren't small. I mean, 15% on here. We're going to get 8% kinetic damage on projectiles here. And we're getting 4% critical strike rate. On top of, you know, you can get the Fable damage rolls with the projectile crit damage. And that's a low roll as well. This is massive in comparison to what it can be. I think this goes up to 80% for the crit damage and 20% for the kinetic energy damage. Top roll, 60% for the crit damage, and I think it's 20% again for the crit rate. So it's pretty nuts. On top of the fact that projectiles are the most broken weapons in the game, that's mostly due to the fact that they are the only weapons to really have a proper tier above everybody. If you go into archives and we look at the device list, we have gold Gorse, gold heavy pen PT guns, gold rail guns. If we have a look at lasers, we have gold X Ethers, no gold XNTs. We do have a gold Decon, right? But let's compare the damage of the X Ether. 2.7 thousand, right? So 2,749. I can do numbers occasionally. Damage versus, okay, the base gun really is the Gorse, right? 3,300. It's got 600 more base damage with the potential of an extra 300 on top of it. Let alone the fact that it's a 40% crit rate weapon. Okay, it doesn't blind, but blind isn't as useful as having 40% crit rate, especially when you can stack crit damage. This is what makes, and the penetration. let's not forget the penetration that can completely ignore shields. I think that goes up to 40% on a monster or 50% on a monster. That's basically a 50% damage increase. Like flat 50% damage increase. It's either ignoring the shields or it hits the shields and it hits the hull, dealing double damage. Penetration either needs to go or they need to add weapons for each of the other types, for laser and torps, where they ignore shields as well and they have that penetration effect. I'd also like to see the damage increased on all of these weapons. Even the deconstruction ray, it's 2,160 damage at full durability and when it's hitting shields. So, you know, it's already behind because it's having to hit the shields first. And then its damage doesn't ramp until about 50% full durability anyway. So even deconstruction rays don't actually compete with projectile weapons at the end of the day. And that's why people are running 3 monsters. So, yeah, monsters or projectiles need a heavy nerf, or we need to see a buff on all other weapon types. And the ammo counts, I mean, this photon torpedo can shoot 8 times. That's like a minute's worth of firing, and then it's completely and utterly useless. You might as well put anti-aircraft weapons on your ship with the amount of times this can fire, and just use those to do nothing as well. At least they'll shoot down potentially some missiles that no one's using, because they're also absolutely useless on the ammo count. Heavy cruise missiles can fire 9 times. Anyway, right, I've gone on a bit of a rant, as you can tell. So, they're the buffs and nerfs that the community have mentioned, and that I would also like to see. I quite like Kevin Miller's one with the multiple ships. I'd like to get rid of the triple monster in Arena and Wars and everywhere else. It's toxic. It's as bad, or if not worse, than when Dr. Lenua was broken and doing 100% energy drain on everything. So yeah, there's a few bits and pieces that need to get changed. I'm hoping I want to get these balance changes, so I'm going to send this off to them. If you got any other balances that you'd recommend, drop comments below. I'm going to post the video off to the devs, so they'll get to watch it. They can have a look, maybe take consideration of some of these balance changes that are suggested by some of the guys in my community. And if you drop comments below, I'm sure they're going to read up on the comments, so have a look in there. And I know I'm going to get some hate for saying nerf the monster, but needs to be done. Otherwise, you know, what's the point in every other ship they've got in the game if it's just not going to compete with a monster? You might as well just run as many monsters as you possibly can. You'll just end up with 3 fleets for the military competition of 3 monsters in each fleet, all with the exact same loadout, and you know, that's it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out, helps the channel out, and don't forget to check me out on Twitch over on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 7 PM GMT start, and I'll catch you guys next time.